Yes, sir. One question is there. How is one certified as being familiar with DevOps? How can we add this in resume? Are there any certifications or trainings to undergo to add DevOps as a skill? This is what is one of the questions, sir.
Okay, ma'am. See, there are a lot of companies are giving certifications. Okay, Red Hat gives. Okay, Jenkins gives DevOps certification. Udemy. Okay, so all these companies gives. Okay, but you need to choose which line. Okay, you cannot just do a DevOps course and say that like, yeah, I'm a DevOps engineer, because for which group, which segment that you want to go. For example, if you go Red Hat, they teach you different tool chain, or all they cannot teach you all the tool chains together. That's not possible. Even you can't understand. Even they can try to teach you also, what the receiver cannot understand. Okay, it will be very difficult for you to understand and say, "Well, I understood something." So depending on the choice that you need to see. Okay, suppose you want to go with embedded, or you are doing web applications. Okay, you are doing mobile applications. Okay, and you are doing enterprise applications, you are doing desktop applications, you are doing embedded engineering. Okay, you are doing hardware and software together. Okay, for different things. Okay, you require different tool chain. Okay, so depending on the tool chain, you can choose anyone. Okay, it could be Red Hat, or it could be Jenkins. Jenkins is also called CloudBees. Jenkins is a product name. CloudBees is their software. Okay, so CloudBees is a company name. Jenkins is their software. Okay, so like that, there are different tool chains are there. Depending on that, you need to take the certification. Otherwise, it will be very difficult. Okay, but per se, okay, one should know version control system very well. Either whether you are a DevOps engineer or an engineer, you should know version control system a little bit thoroughly, and you should start using version control system because it's freely available, GitHub and GitLab. Okay, and even for your small project that you are doing, if you are acquainted with the version control system, you can do your work better. You will be very optimal, and you will not lose your content, and the world is providing such tools for you to use it. So you should start using version control system from the day beginning, and you should also start using it some kind of a monitoring tools. Okay, suppose you are developing a web application, or you're doing a mobile application, you need to monitor certain things, such as how much time response time it's taking, database response time. Okay, is the page is loading properly or not, how much time is taking the page load. Some performance tools should be, you should know. And you should also know the build tools. Okay, depending on the project. Suppose you are developing a web application using a Node or React. There is no there are some build tools are available. But suppose if you choose some framework or something, okay, it automatically the build tool will come. Suppose if you are doing a Java based project, okay, there is something called Maven, and okay, so many build tools are there. Okay, so if you are doing C++, there's a completely different ball game, and there are a lot of tool chains are available to optimize your stuff. So you should know. Just to start with, you should know version control system a little thoroughly, and bit of understanding of containers, Docker. I'll not talk about Kubernetes. At least if you know Docker, or Windows subsystem for Linux, WSL2, that is recently released last year or this year. Microsoft released Windows subsystem for Linux. So it's not a container based, but it is a kind of a having a your own isolation. You can have several WSLs, that becomes a container. The single WSL will not act like a container, but you can create your own WSL distros. Okay, and from Docker you can create a WSL distro, and you can use as a distro in your Windows operating system. So these two things, one should know as a developer. That will help you as time progresses. No, you will pick up these skills one by one. It automatically comes once you know these two very thoroughly. So as you see, right, and with some open mindedness, you can get to know these tools very easily. I'm entering the next topic. It is called the build tools. Okay, so basically this is my favorite subject. Okay, this is the one of the activity that the build is the one of the activity that a developer does several times a day. Okay, suppose you are writing your source code. Okay, you cannot write a source code without compilation. So the build compilation itself is a part of build. Okay, you either use a GCC or Java C. So you do compile something and check whether my source code is compiling or not. Even your editor says, yeah, there is some syntax errors or something, but still people tend to do compilation. So in a large program, okay, if you don't organize your tool chain build tool properly, it led to significant loss of productivity. Okay, so the build is per se need to be done very neatly. The build tools, as well as the way that you orchestrate the build or the way that you want to do the build, that also defines your code structure. Okay, how the structure of the code should be laid out, how you need to specify the code, what kind of, how many folders, which folders, what meant, all that is done using the build tools. So I'll cover what is build tool, what is a build tool, and the functions of build tools, which are the popular build tools. Okay, but you cannot use all the tools for all the languages. Okay, so it is a you are tend to choose certain things depending on your programming language or the environment that you are building. So for example, like the modern programming language such as Python or Node or these things, okay, these are all interpreter kind of languages where they don't need to compile and generate a binary, but there are some versions of it where you compile it and generate something so that like it will be faster. Okay, so basically build nothing but you're creating an application binaries from a software. Okay, what are the software that you have? You run a build tool and it creates the application binaries, so that like this application binaries comes from all the code file that you specified it. Okay, for example, like in C++, okay, when I create something binary, either it could be an exe or it could be a library. In case of a C++, when I create a library, along with that I need to give header files. Without header files, you cannot include that and use the library. You in C++, even you say include something, okay, red black trees.h, then only you can use red black trees of trees that from the boost library or some other library you can use it. So in case of C++, you need to have some kind of a header file and followed by the library. But in case of a Java, okay, you no need to have a header file, but you need to have a Java doc for that classes that you need to use. You need to have a jar file in the class path before you use it. So each language has the starting languages like Fortran, COBOL, and C. Okay, later C++ came in. As it's evolved, people figured out the different things, and they address these issues as part of the programming languages itself. Now the header files releasing is not there in Java. So similarly, like it's a evolvement. Okay, as language evolved, they evolved it. So like that, it depends on that. Okay, you need to, depending on your the language that you choose, and in that process, depending on the language, depending on the consumption, how you would like to consume, this build process defines everything. Okay, it will have a mechanisms to build what you require and what need to be delivered. So it varies for each programming language and also varies for operating systems. But today, as industries progressed well, now operating system dependencies more or less is eliminated. But some tools still have operating system dependency, but more or less it's eliminated. Okay, because Java is platform independent, Python is platform independent. So several things are platform independent. Similarly, the build tools need to be platform independent. So most of the tools are nowadays, or they have two different versions. Okay, with the same syntax, it supports. For example, make supports on Windows, make supports on Linux. Okay, that make utility that you need to have on Windows is different. The utility that you need to have on Linux is different. But the make file that what you have, it works on both. So they achieve this platform independency directly or indirectly. And this two words is very important. There are two types of builds. One is incremental build and full build. So incremental build means like what is being changed. Okay, I change only file in one file, build that file, and there are depend on that file, only compile those. Don't compile full one. The one that are not touched, okay, don't build it. This is nothing but like avoid. Okay, build avoidance. Don't build that are not needed to build. That's called incremental build. This is very important for the developer. So in a day-to-day time, he has to do only incremental build, because on my machine I change something, I need to build what I changed. If I build a complete full build, it takes humongous time and I need a lot of resources to the build. So it is a waste of time. Instead of that, if it just builds the one that I changed, then it will be very easy and it will be faster for me to do my work. So you always, the bill should support, what are the bills that you write, it should support both incremental bill and full bill. Usually by default it should support incremental bill. If they want clean bill, they can do clean. They'll say make clean or some clean, okay, Ninja clean, and do the build, so that like it will do the full build. So for example, like for Android, I was taking an Android example. The Android OS builds on a normal machine. If you have 8-core machine, it takes around 32 to 46 hours to do the build, the full build. Suppose you have 32-core machine and it takes around 8 hours to 14 hours it will take to do build on 32-core machine with SSD. Okay, if you have HD, it will take even longer time. So the full build takes that much amount of time. The incremental build, because you would be changing 4 files or 5 files, so it doesn't take much time. Okay, it may take 30 minutes to do the incremental build. So when whoever is writing the build scripts, okay, you should have in mind, I should support both incremental build and the full build. So what is build tool? Build tools commonly known as programs that automate the process of building an executable application from source code. Okay, this building process includes activities like compiling, linking, and packaging the code into an executable form. Okay, so build automation involves scripting or automating a wide range of tasks that software developers perform their daily activities. Some build tools even have targets for unit testing. Some build tools have targets for deployment. Okay, they can even deploy to Docker. So some build tools have several things. Okay, whatever that automation that you want, it supports all kinds of things. Okay, there is a capability of build tool. Some people write their own build tool using languages like Python or Node. So they write their own build tool also. That's okay. Some people write using Batfile also. Some people write using shell script also. It depends on the choice and the platform or the languages that you're working. The general functions of build tools are it downloads the dependencies, package manages. For example, like Java, it depends on different jar files. Okay, it automatically downloads from Ant or Maven. It downloads the dependencies, and it compiles the source code to form the binary code or intermediate code. And it also has a functionality to package the binary code for distribution, running the automation tests, and deploy them to the production systems, generating documents and release notes. So these are general functions of build tools. So some of them may not have all of them. Okay, few of them you will be substituted by writing your own scripts. Some of the tools may have all of them. So you need to pay either learning curve, or you need to pay money. So it depends on what you want. Okay, it is not like directly available everything. Okay, for some kind of a, suppose you are using Microsoft platform, Microsoft Agile development platform, where it gives everything to you, because he gives all the tool chain in their Microsoft, so that you can start developing and deploying and doing. It will be mostly for web applications or some kind of a packaged applications, not for embedded applications. So depending on the kind of application that you are choosing, you will choose the tool chain, whether from a single vendor or multiple vendors. It's a cloud based or native based. So depending on your choice, these tools also will be decided. So the popular build tools are GNU Make, okay, Apache Ant, Maven, Gradle, and CMake. And CMake is can be used for several different languages, but there is something called modern CMake that is much more powerful, and it is a meta tool, and it generates from CMake you can generate GNU Make. Instead of writing GNU Make hand coded, you can write in CMake and generate GNU Make. You can write it. CMake has other functionality, like it can generate Ninja, it can generate SCONs, it can generate several other things are there. CMake can generate different kind of whichever that you want. So if you are working on C, C++, it is mandatory to know modern CMake, and it really improves, okay, how you have to code over this thing. In C++, we have something called include paths. Okay, the include paths are very, very difficult to manage. If the include path is wrong, and if you are including something, okay, it can come from different one. The same file name is present somewhere, it can come different one. Yeah. Unlike other programming languages, so C++ has this include path maintenance. It's not easy to do that. With the modern CMake, it is very easy, and they have came up with a solution. Okay, how this can be addressed using the CMake. Any questions or anything?
No, sir. As of now, no questions.
Okay, thank you, Jeshna. So before we go to
No
the
questions, sir. As of now.
okay, ma'am. Before we enter into the last topic, this is called containerization. So, for example, like since you couple of people could have been from metros, okay, or even from non-metros also, not problem. Today, when you order online, okay, people will come and deliver at home. Okay, so they package everything and deliver at home. Okay, so when you order something, okay, the delivery process that is done by the company, either Amazon or Flipkart, okay, they have to do this very systematically and give it to the guy who delivers it. Okay, it's not one single guy who's delivering from not like our shop near to our house where they take the list and that same owner or somebody will come and give it to us. But in a large organization, okay, there will be different entities will be there. They have to collaborate such a way that like they can deliver that goods to someone else. Okay, similarly, like when you are suppose you are staying outside your country or you are moving from one place to other place. Okay, and suppose you are in US and you want to move back to India, you want to ship your luggage. Okay, how do you ensure that like okay the whole thing is shipped properly? Okay, so it's very difficult because if you put the different items to different packets and send it, okay, it will be very difficult to receive by uh, you when you came to India. So what happens is this shipping companies, they'll give one container, big container they will give you, and it has a lock, and they'll just put everything inside the container and push it to the um, ship, and the ship will deliver to come to the shore, and they will deliver in the vehicle to your house. The whole container will come to you, so it is packaged for you. It's like a one single container where you dumped your luggage, everything inside. Okay, whether your sofa or washing machine, everything you dumped it, and you know that like what you are getting it. It's like what is been packaged inside, you getting everything. Okay, now similarly in software, okay, as you see, when you're developing a software, you'll be using different software tools or different versions of it. Just not the tool, different version of the tool. From one version to other version, the software tool chain will change. So when you are running this everything, you require all these tool chains to make it as a one entity and run together. Okay, how do you ensure okay all this exact tool chain will be there? Okay, all this can be there in other target machine. It's very difficult, even though you give good documentation, good automation script. It's very difficult to do that. So then people came up okay with a different solution called containerization. They pack everything as similar to that example of shipping the container your goods from one place to other place using a container, using a ship. Similarly, like what they say is in that like, yeah, let's pack everything what you require in one container and give that container to other guy so that he just start that. So that like he has everything, it is isolated and it has everything, it runs. So the one in the beginning I said no, it works in my environment, it doesn't work in other environment. That is ruled out because of this container. Now that never happens, because suppose it's working for you, if you give the container to him, it has to work for other guy also. So there is a beauty of containerization where you pack all the tool chain, required tool chain, compilers, everything, whatever you require to run the product, you package everything and give it to him, and he can whatever is running in your machine should run in other machine. That is the beauty of containerization. So as I said, this is called containerization. There is the benefits of containerization. What are the different tools are there for containerization? There are various tools are there. Okay, so in terms of containerization, not just one. So the most popular one is Docker, but a lot more are there. So what is containerization? Containerization is the new norm of DevOps. So it is the process of packaging software code, its required dependencies and the configurations and other detail to be easily deployed in the same or other computing environment. Okay, it's basically like the complete one, okay, including configuration, including the software code dependencies, whatever it is, including the version numbers, everything is packaged. Okay, what is being tested and what is been given, so that like it has to work. There is no option for it. So that is the beauty of containerization. In simple terms, containerization is the encapsulation of application and its required environment. It's basically like you're encapsulating the application and the environment into one part. Okay, containerization always allows developers to create and deploy applications faster and more securely. Securely also is one important aspect, but instead of securely, the most important one is you can deploy applications faster and reliably. Okay, so the security will come in a deeper context, but in a later context, you will see you can deploy faster and reliably. That's the beauty of containerization. So the benefits of containerization is ease of deployment and scalability. You can scale, okay, you can, because you want to deploy the application in 10 machines, it's just a click, so that you can deploy and scale 10 machines, and it is consistent and it is portable and it is efficient also. Okay, it is efficient for the development purpose. These are the benefits of containerization. So what are the tools that are available now? Okay, so we have something called Docker. This is the most predominant one, and Microsoft Hyper-V. Okay, this is a layer that it supports on Windows. Okay, and Podman. So Linux has not Linux. Red Hat has decided in that like Docker needs some kind of a engine. Docker engine is required to run Docker. So always the engine should be running for the Docker to work. So they just Red Hat stopped supporting Docker recently, and they created something called Podman. Okay, where without Docker service or Docker engine running, it's a very lightweight compared to Docker, and it supports all the Docker commands. Okay, you can just alias Podman to Docker and continue use Docker commands. It's exactly in similar lanes of Docker, but the way that's implemented is different. Okay, but the same principles and the philosophy of Docker, they used it, but it's done by Red Hat. Okay, and this is a container D. This is another one. This is the Conan. This is not for all kind of containerization like tools, but it's a kind of containerization for C++. So I'll just touch upon this in a little deeper fashion. So what happens is when you have a process, okay, there is something called long running process and short living process, long living and short living process. Long living processes are, for example, like your web server. Okay, these are all long living process. It will be keep running. Okay, the web server will be keep running. Okay, then only like it can serve the purpose. It's called long living. For example, compilations, short living. Okay, you want to compile something. I want to use some different compiler. Okay, especially in embedded, you can't use GCC, right? Because in embedded there will be different compilers like Green Hills compiler or QNX compiler. Depending on the processor, you will have a different compiler. So basically, like you need to compile something, some source code, and generate a binary. For that, you don't need a just to get the tool chain. You don't need a container. You just need a tool chain to be present in your workspace or in your environment. For that, this is came recently, and this is from JFrog. Okay, there's a company called JFrog. That company is having this Conan as a C++ package manager, and it gives you a tool chain whatever you require. Okay, it just works for C++ very effectively. It also works for other languages also, but it's very effective for C++. You can package whatever you require, and you can get the tool chain for compilation purpose. This is not for long living processes. This is only for short living processes. For other four are for long living processes. The process that you want to run permanently, you need to use this. Only you want only for compilation, or you want something, you can go for either Conan or C++ package managers like Python, which if you are developing using a Python, there's something called Python Virtual Env. In similar concepts, this Conan works. So Python Virtual Env also is a kind of a, it's not a container, but it's kind of a isolation. It's a kind of an isolation for you to have your own dependent packages for Python. If you are only developing in Python, if you are using mixed languages and developing a solution, then it will be difficult. Python VNV cannot solve the problem. Then you have to go either Docker or Podman. So depending on your choice, you can choose whichever that you require it. So with this, I'm end of my session, and we have 25 more minutes if you have any questions.
Sir, we have questions, sir. One student is asking, I'm just reading out the question. How do we link Docker and Jenkins? What is Docker Hub? Do we need to push code from that student asked set series of questions. Shall I stop in between and
Go ahead, yes.
Docker and what is the link between Docker and Jenkins? What is Docker Hub? Do we need to push code from Jenkins to Docker Hub? And do we need to pull code from Docker's Hub to production system? Please provide workflow from Jenkins to Docker Hub to production systems.
Okay. I'll step back and explain this in a different context. Okay. For example, like you are hosting something called one application for Geetham. Okay, so for Geetham students, okay, assume that the student who asked the question, he is giving in a web application where people can know, okay, what are the events are happening in Geetham. Okay, let's take this application, he's developing it. Okay, assume that this is a web application, and this web application is hosted, say that like on a web server, and it gives you, and the web server also he is developing it, is a lightweight web server is developing it, and he's hosting all the events that are happening in Geetham. Okay, either by looking Outlook calendar, okay, or some calendar that website shows what are the events happening in the Geetham. This application, if he's developing and he want to use Jenkins, Docker, and all this, the toolchain that he wants to develop. Now, first you need to have a Git version control system to develop this application. Okay, either he will be using a Node or React or some application to develop this. He will keep the source code in Node.js or React application or something. Then he will connect to Jenkins, will connect to Git, and it fetches the code and it builds. Okay, it builds the required things. Okay, it builds the Docker image and it pushes to the Docker Hub. Okay, the Jenkins will push this Docker image to the Docker Hub, the compiled one, and say that like, yeah, it is available. This Docker Hub per se, as I said earlier, there is something called binary management tools, such as JFrog or Nexus, Artifactory or Nexus. Okay, this Docker Hub is also a part of as one binary management tool in Nexus as well as in JFrog Artifactory, and Docker Hub can exist outside also as a separate independent entity. You have a binary management tool as a Docker Hub. The Jenkins pushes this Docker image to the Docker Hub, okay, and it keeps there. And the deployment, okay, where suppose he's hosting on AWS or he's hosting on Azure or he's hosting on Geetham data center, the Geetham data center, whatever whoever is deploying it, he will read from Docker Hub and he will start that instance on that. Either it could be AWS or it could be Microsoft Azure or a Geetham data center. He will start there so that like the application will up and running and others can consume it. So in this flow, so this is the way that how Jenkins interacts with Docker Hub, how Jenkins interacts with the Git. Now in this flow, you can see Jenkins is playing an orchestration role. It is fetching the code from Git and it is building it. It is doing everything. Building is done by something else. Jenkins doesn't do. Jenkins uses the build. It triggers, yeah, do this. Jenkins says to the build tool. After building it, it prepares a package called Docker. And after the Docker preparation, it pushes the Docker Hub. All these are done by Jenkins. Jenkins is acting like an orchestration tool here. This is the way the interaction happens between the different tool chain.
Sir, there is another question. Is there any sample Maven build script? Explain if possible.
No, he can look at in the internet. There is a subject by itself because it's very simple. All build scripts are same. Okay, there will be a file and there will be an interpreter. This Maven interprets that file and it executes that commands. It's a kind of a make or bat file or anything where you have a sequence of commands. They give the syntax. The Maven gives the syntax, okay, and you need to write that way.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Hope
you.
Azure must be having that answer. During afternoon session as well, we are going to see how a simple code can be executed through Jenkins, like the code available in GitHub, how we can do execution through Jenkins. So maybe at that point of time, you feel that you are having some hands-on. And tomorrow's session, we are going to use the Maven plugin as
Okay,
for
ma'am.
CI/CD pipeline. Student is asking, Jenkins only works with Java?
No. Jenkins is an orchestration tool. You can use with anything. It's nothing to do with Java. It can be used for C, C++. It can be used for Python. Anything. It's you can consider Jenkins is an orchestration tool. It is basically like you can choose things that what you want and interconnect them using Jenkins. It's just not for Java.
So you can, the student, whoever asked, I just wanted to add little thing. Suppose if you want to run a Python program as well, the purpose is continuous integration, continuous deployment. These things, whatever we learned in today's session, they can be automated using Jenkins. Am I right, sir? This is what
Correct.
of programming language, the code that programmer is providing, that will be integrated continuously, and continuous build is going to happen. So now for that Jenkins tool we are going to use. So you will get exposure practically in the afternoon session.
You're right, Jesh, ma'am. You're right.
As one of the comments your in chat box, session was amazing, so informative. One of the best explanations we heard so far. Excellent architectural view you provided, sir. This is what one of the chat box messages I am getting. So any students, I request students to come up with really very good questions. Students are asking. Any other questions, please? We do have another 15 minutes time. Please kindly utilize this. Regarding the form, I think it is not accessible to outside Geetham participants. Definitely, I am going to change the settings and send the new form again. Just give me just 5 minutes. Regarding the session, if you are having any questions, please put your question in Q&A. Sir, one of the participants asking, sir, can you explain any big build experience which you have experienced so far?
Okay.
This is the question from one of the participants, sir.
Yeah, see, I as part of my work, okay, so we develop on top of Android, and we see the build per se, as I said, no, it's a subject by itself. Okay, one should have a passion. Okay, so when I took over this group, the build times were around in a server machine, server kind of a machine, where these are all Nutanix boxes with SSDs, okay, and very powerful machines, and it will cost in crores, okay, to be honest with you. It's very expensive machines, okay. In those machines, it was taking around 5 hours to compile the Android clean builds. Okay, so then we went ahead and we want to optimize the build time. So 4 hours or 5 hours is like close to half a day or more than half a day, and you need to keep waiting. You can't do anything else when the compilation is going on. So we went ahead and did some research and said that, like, yeah, how can we reduce the build time? So basically, like, there are a lot of tools are available. See, there are open source tools available, and there are commercial tools available, and it depends on what your company can offer. So I decided to go with a commercial one rather than an open source one. The commercial one, you get some support. You have some doubt, there'll be a support, and there will be a person whom we can reach out to if any doubts are there or anything that is not working. It's not that software once you buy it will work permanently, right? So even today we buy hardware or software, it may work or may not work. If it doesn't work, you have to go and replace. The guy is good, he will replace. The guy is not good, you lose that money. So what happens is, we went ahead something called Cloud-based accelerator. Okay, that's called build acceleration tool. In build, it happens several things. Okay, so one who know the C++ depth will know what is build means. So how much ever I explain, no, if you have a Java knowledge, it is very difficult to understand. But I just put my perspective. Okay, build means, when you take C++ code, you need to include a lot of header files. Okay, you need to link a lot of libraries together. Okay, when you include this file, okay, when the compilation happens, there is something called pre-processing stage. Okay, where it takes all the header files and puts it into one single file, and the pre-processing happens, then followed by the compilation. The pre-processing, when it is including, there are two kinds of inclusions. One is you can give the full path. In hash include, full path you can give, or you can give relative path, or you can give some path that this file will be presented from the include paths of -i, okay, capital I, the include path of C++, and that will be present. There are various ways that include. Depending on that, if your include path search is not right, it is not optimized properly, the pre-processing will take huge time. Okay. And second things in that, like, okay, when you are building, which file is, suppose you may dependent on some dot header files. Okay, you change the header file. So in lot of .c file, the header file could be included. Which are the files that are the header file is included? So suppose you want to go for incremental build, you need to compile the files that are changed. So how do you figure out which are the files that are changed in a large project? So suppose like 2 lakhs files are there, 25,000 employees are working. Okay, how do you figure out which files are changed? It's very difficult to know. It's not easy. So these build tools, okay, it's kind of a machine learning. When the build happens, okay, it knows which files it access the build, and it remembers it, and it knows, say that, like, for incremental build support, next time when it runs, okay, this file is dependent on this file. So a lot of work happens inside, okay, the accelerator tools, okay, where it, as a machine learning, it understands everything and remembers everything, and it figures out the dependencies and gives to you. So then after the next time when you build it again, okay, this is the knowledge is there. When you change some file, it will say, yeah, when I change this file, all this no need to be compiled, it will avoid the build. So it takes from the cache, okay, whatever was done earlier, and it continues the build. So in this process, we reduced from 8 hours to less than 30 minutes the build time, okay, using software, okay, that's called Cloud-based accelerator. So we reduce the build time to less than 30 minutes. So in software engineering, okay, I cannot per se say that, like, which two fields are not interlinked. It is your maturity and your abstraction and your openness to link together. So here in the build itself, machine learning is used. Machine learning could be a new concept in the industry, but in the same machine learning without the word machine learning, but learn from the previous one and implement. That is a crude way of saying machine learning. This was existing for a long time. Okay, so per se, you need to be open, and you need to look at various ways that how we can optimize our own things. That interest should be there. That's all. Okay, you will, once the interest is there, automatically, you tend to go towards that. I have one word to say, something called law of attraction. Okay, your brain says that you want to get something good done, you tend to look for that only. You finally go there only. That's called law of attraction. Okay, so anything that you decide to do good, it automatically happens good. Okay, similarly in software, you need to have that intention towards to do better, it automatically happens. Today I have again improved on top of it. Now the build times are less than 18 minutes. From 4 hours to 8 hours to 18 minutes is a significant predominant change. Okay, and so that the whole company could benefit, and individuals also get time to do their other works also, because time is the main important essence for anyone, right? So the time is the only thing limited. Okay, so everybody has certain limited amount of time in a day or
Sir,
overall living.
there is another.
Go ahead, ma.
Yes. Uh, when we have code base with both Java and Python, how do we manage build from Git when code is mixed? Maven is Java based. In this case, how do we manage?
No, very simple. Okay, you see, how do you want to manage? That's the way that you have to manage. I cannot per se say that like this is the only approach, because there are several approaches are there. You can see, for Git, it doesn't differentiate between Python and Java. Okay, it is just a, as I said in the beginning, it is a human readable one that goes into the Git. Non-human readable one goes into this kind of a binary management tools. Okay, either it could be Docker Hub or anything. Okay, so the human readable one, it doesn't differentiate between Python or Java. You will download both of them. For Java, you will have a separate build tool. Okay, for Ant or Maven. For Python, there is no build tool required per se. Okay, only for packaging is required. So you will write either a shell script or a batch script or another Python script to run this Java one and for Python packaging. So once you develop the Python package, suppose you are having a package manager, PY is there in your organization, where you have to push it to the Python package manager for the consumption purpose. So there also you use in Jenkins, okay, some other step, okay, to push to the PY package manager. So all this happens as a steps inside the Jenkins. Either you can do as individual steps inside the Jenkins, or you can wrap all this into a .sh file or .bat file or bash file or another Python file. So you can do anyway. Either various approaches are there. You can combine anything.
Sir, some of the students are asking like multiple questions. I am summarizing as one single one. As you are so experienced person at today's competitive world, which programming languages and skills would you recommend to students that they must learn at present situations?
Mama, this is a very deeper question. See, I have only 2 cents to say. Okay, see, today you need to know programming per se. Okay, algorithms and data structures is the key. Okay, any one programming language you should choose and learn algorithms and data structures thoroughly. See, for example, like looking at me itself, my career itself. Okay, when I studied, I was not even knowing Java also. Okay, so because of the strong data structures and programming skills, see, every language only just syntax. Okay, at the end of it, everything boils down to the logic that you can think of, the abstraction skills that what you have. So you need to do practice the data structures course very thoroughly, and you should implement all the data structures on your own using any one programming language and do it. But today market per se, Python and Node, JavaScript is and Python has taken this programming to somewhere extreme, somewhere some to different level altogether. Okay, so but this both are interpreted kind of languages. It's not like C, C++. It doesn't give that much performance like C, C++. Okay, so some people say these are all proof of concept languages where you can do whatever that you want to run, you can develop using much faster. And for production, I will go with a different language. So people say that because in Python and Node, JavaScript, like Node.js, okay, you tend to get whatever you want as a packages today. You just need to know, and the learning curve is high in Python as well as in JavaScript. You have to know what is available instead of knowing the programming language. In C, C++, Java, and Java also you need to know what is available. In C, C++, mostly like you will be developing on your own because you will be optimizing for everything and doing it. But Python and Node, JavaScript is, these two are very popular languages now. And this also full stack developer. Okay, you can use at especially both Python and JavaScript, especially JavaScript with the Express.js. Okay, and you can develop web application. Okay, with React. Okay, with React Native, you can develop mobile application with I forgot this one. See, actually, like Teams, Microsoft Teams, and Visual Code is also done using JavaScript only. Okay, so you can develop with Visual Studio Code, that IDE that you see both on Windows and Linux. It's developed using JavaScript. So I feel these two, Python and JavaScript, has much more scope in terms of industry this thing, because you can do things much faster, unlike Java server, Java based web based development, all this. So it has little advantages compared to these languages. But the ground rule is you should know data structures and programming thoroughly. Okay, I prefer all for third year students, HackerRank, you take it, and any language that you know, you just try to get less than 5,000 rank, so that like you will feel like software is very easy. You don't feel software is difficult. Yeah, you will feel like it is one of the easiest job in the industry and well paid.
Thank you, sir, for answering all questions patiently. Any more questions from students? There is one message for you, sir. Session is very excellent. Your great experience is packaged well to the students. Sir, we will keep in touch through LinkedIn. This is a message sent by one of the participants.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Jayashree.
So total around 40 questions are asked, sir. We patiently answered throughout the session. We interrupted you many times. Like I feel because of this question and answer session, I feel it is like really well taken by all the participants. And if any more questions are there, sir will be answering. I request students and participants. Any other questions? Yeah, this another student asked just now. I think it is covered. If I'm not right, sir, please let me know. Is Python code based build is easy, or Java based, or C++ based? Which is more matured?
We cannot say, ma. We cannot say that. It depends on your choice. Okay. See, I want to develop on a device and I want to low cost. Okay. I had to go only with C++. I cannot go with Python or Node. Okay. It will be very expensive. Okay. Because suppose I want to sell at 5,000 rupees a device with the software, hardware and software. I cannot sell it, right? This is impossible. So I had to choose only C, C++, where I can convert to the binary, and because I require less RAM to run and less resources to run. For Python, other things, you require compute power as well as RAM. So the requirement of compute and RAM power is for simulation. For example, like you want to try out on your laptop, it's fine. Suppose you want to give a device or something, you cannot do it. It depends on the application and depends on this.
Thank you, sir. So afternoon session, I request all the participants to join sharp by 2 o'clock. The session, based on the installation speed that you are doing, it may even get completed by half an hour or 1 hour also. There is no need that we have to spend the entire 2 hours. The required tasks need to be completed. The set of videos will be presented to you through either through Canvas or through Moodle, based on your whether you are within Geetham or outside Geetham. By looking at those recordings, you need to install Jenkins step by step and get connected with the Git and see how your piece of code can be integrated in a continuous way. For today's session, your afternoon session, you are going to see that. And tomorrow's afternoon session, we are going to see how CDCI pipeline works, which is already got demonstrated very well in this session. CI/CD pipeline, how it works, entire thing you are going to see in tomorrow's session, afternoon session. And today, maybe if some of you are having any Moodle related issues or Canvas related issues, first half an hour we will resolve them, and you can start your installation process at your local systems by looking at the recordings. One more thing I want to emphasize, many of you are asking about certifications. We are giving 3 more days additional time to complete the tasks that are given in Moodle or in Canvas. Like small quizzes are going to be conducted and small assignments are going to be given. Though they are very small only, considering the priorities of participants, we are giving 3 more days buffer time. So you can complete by, like we will be letting you know, maybe mostly by Tuesday end of the day. You have to complete and submit all the quizzes and assignments that are given to you. Based on the completion, immediately you will be getting the certificate. If there are any questions related to certificates, I think this, whatever I told now, it clarifies. Yeah, even some of you are asking about recording sessions as well. Yes, if this class is recorded very well, it is going to be available to all of you by end of today in either in Moodle or in Canvas. I mean, sorry, both in both Moodle and Canvas, the recording sessions are going to be available. If any further questions are there related to execution, program execution, you can get in touch with me through chat box only. I'll be available online, though recorded classes are provided. I'll be available online in webinar. So you can get those questions clarified with respect to setting up the system. So if some of the student participants messaging you, sir. Thank you very much for the great session. We learned many things in a short period.
Thank you, ma'am. It's my good opportunity to meet so many people at one shot. Thanks, Jayashree. I'm
so
sorry,
much,
I couldn't recollect you.
Session, sir. Actually, like it is not that you gave session to participants.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye.
On average, 450 students are available, sir, in this session.
Okay.
Not only these 450 students, this course, I mean, as in part of recorded class, this is. I really thank you a lot, sir, for your time, for your precious time.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for giving this opportunity. Okay. Thanks, students, for listening to our words. Okay. Wish you all the success. Okay. Bye for now.
Thank you, sir.
So, bye.
I request all the participants, please sharp. Based on the speed of your installation, definitely we can you can complete that within 1 hour itself, but we are having the slot between 2 to 4. I'm ending the session. We will meet again at 2 o'clock. Thank you all. Thank you all for your wonderful participation. Even tomorrow as well, we are having the session on the role of cloud in DevOps. This is what is going to be discussed in tomorrow's session. Infrastructure orchestration, how do we monitor the tools, web server, application server, and we are also going to have a demo of cloud deployment using AWS or any other cloud. This is what we are going to have as part of tomorrow's session. Tomorrow's morning class again is going to be between 10 o'clock to 12 noon. Thank you all. I am ending the morning session of this webinar.